Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is David from Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. This time on Antigua Shipyard. Awesome! It is a PvZ. Yes, in the top of the screen we have our red Protoss, and then in the bottom we have our blue Zerg. Excellent. Their names, by the way, are WhiteRA, who is the red Protoss, I should have said it that way, and the blue Zerg is WhiteRA, who is in the bottom. Awesome, cool, yes, let's do a little bit of trivia for both of our players right now. Okay, WhiteRA, very, very well-known player. He is 25, and he is from the Ukraine. Just so we are all clear on where WhiteRA comes from and who he is and all that good stuff. He is a high-level Brood War player as well as a StarCraft 2 player. And also he is the first person to beat Nest-T in a televised ZVZ match in StarCraft 2, which is pretty interesting. A little bit of interestingness there for you. If you don't know, Nest-T is a very, very high-level Zerg player himself. Very good player indeed. Awesome. And then, of course, back to WhiteRA, who we actually started with on the screen. He is a very, very mannered player. When I say manner, I mean he is a good mannered player. He's a very nice guy. He's also not going for the blocking that many Protoss do like to do. He is, in fact, actually just going to go straight for that gateway on top of his ramp. So this could be interesting to see what actually comes out of WhiteRA right now. Let's see, he created the slogan, more GG, more skill. Yes, he did. That's how manner he is. If he loses, he just GG's out, and he doesn't take it as a bad thing if he loses, I guess. Like many players don't. They just watch over the replays, use them to get better, and all that good stuff. We do have WhiteRA putting a pylon down on the low ground right now as well, so maybe he is actually just going to be blocking in, to a lesser extent, using the Zealots there to reinforce what he's actually planning to do. It does look like maybe he'll be sticking a Nexus here fairly soon, which should be pretty interesting. Just so you know, I don't think I've mentioned it yet, WhiteRA is also from Ukraine, and he is 31. May have mentioned that. I'm sorry if it has escaped my mind. My memory is terrible. It's literally so bad I can't remember what I said about 3 minutes ago. That is how bad my memory is. Perhaps one day I should go to the doctor about it. I'm not sure. Probably not, to be honest. I'm not one for being melodramatic. I do, however, really like to watch my StarCraft games and talk about them as if I know what I'm talking about. That is the idea anyway. So we do have some Zerglings chasing down this probe right now, and they do look like perhaps they won't be able to catch up with it fully. WhiteRA going for a kind of a surround, getting parallel there with that probe, trying to go for a what could be kind of seen as a, and it does actually look like this could happen now. No, because they're going to run headlong into a Zealot and almost get murdered by that Zealot, actually. That Zergling there just escaping with 4 HP, the other one just escaping with 11 HP, and it does look like WhiteRA might be being quite aggressive right now as well. He does have a Zealot on the field going straight into WhiteRA's base, and we do have a Stalker coming across the map as well as this probe that is nearby too, which could put down a proxy pylon as well to really debalance WhiteRA's play in the early game. Of course, it's a very good idea to either be expanding quite early or being quite aggressive against the Zerg player in the early game to throw them off their game a little bit and make them think about what they need to do a little bit more, because obviously if you sit back and let a Zerg player macro up, he will probably annihilate you, so you need to do something about it fairly soon. This probe, I'd be fairly well, actually maybe not. The probe does in fact look like he is perhaps going straight back to base. This Zealot and Stalker though do look like perhaps they are waiting for some sort of move out that probably is not going to happen. Also putting a little bit of pressure on WhiteRA at the moment as well, maybe being able to snipe a drone. No! Unfortunately the drone gets made into a spine crawler way before he is able to be sniped. So good things for that drone, I think. These queens here do not like this Stalker. They are not friends of the Stalker at all. And here we have another Stalker coming, racing down across the map as well. And a Zergling, a Zealot even, does look like he'll get surrounded and just stand there and take it like a man and return to Ire. Poor guy. In the meantime, these Stalkers are still being relatively annoying from WhiteRA right now. And we do have a second probe coming out from WhiteRA at the moment, so we might actually see a pylon being put down, and more aggression on the way. Now that he actually has his Nexus up, it's always good to be aggressive after you've expanded. It does look like these Overlords will be only one Overlord will be taken down by these two Stalkers right now. Ugh, that's a disgusting noise. It also looks like this pesky probe, who was busy electrocuting a creep tumor, will be taken down by this massive horde of Zerglings. The Zerglings might want to get back a little bit though, to see to these Stalkers, as Zerglings are actually pretty good against Stalkers. Oh, unfortunately, Dimaga not quite getting the surround there on that Stalker. WhiteRA escaping with that particular Stalker intact. Oh, but here we do have the Zergling speed, which of course will make it a lot harder for these Stalkers to actually survive. I mean, look how quickly Stalkers die against Zerglings like that. It's really incredible. These Zealots running back, being put on hold position, of course, not allowing any Zerglings to go inside the main base of WhiteRA right now, which is, of course, a very good decision indeed. We have a robotics facility going down right now, and that does mean that perhaps in the future we will see Immortals. Perhaps if Dimaga goes Roaches, that might be a very viable option for WhiteRA, or more likely we will see some Colossus out. What we do see from Dimaga at the moment is the 1 armor and 1 weapons upgrade from him, but more importantly, some might say, we have a Baneling nest. So it does look like Dimaga will be going straight for a Baneling bust on WhiteRA at this very moment in time. Usually it can be a pretty dangerous thing to do, because if it doesn't work, then you're a little bit screwed. If your Protoss opponent holds off a Baneling bust effectively by putting, let's say, force fields in front of the buildings before the Banelings actually get there, then obviously Banelings can't jump over force fields. So generally speaking, then you've spent a lot of money on a lot of Banelings that might not get used so often. And we do have a second robotics facility now as well for WhiteRA too, so it does look like he is going to be making some Immortals out. I think he might know what's coming, primarily due to his obs that he's about to fly out and see what is going on. He's going to see these Zerglings from Dimaga at the moment as well, see what is going on from there too. Another Zealot getting warped in over here as well, and I think we have some Banelings on the field. Yes, we do. We have 10 Banelings on the field, just chilling outside here, sitting in that creep in between all of Dimaga's bases at this point in time. We have the +2 armor upgrade almost finished now from Dimaga as well, and WhiteRA is actually just started his thermal lance research for the Colossus, and he is in fact double producing Colossus right now, and that is of course a very strong unit indeed against Zerglings, because Zerglings are pretty much the lightest of the light and the most biological of the biological. So I mean, Dimaga's really going to have to make his move pretty soon, otherwise WhiteRA might have too many Colossus for him to be able to deal with effectively. I mean, these Zerglings, despite they have 2 armor, or they will have 2 armor very shortly, will melt away under those lances that the Colossus project. Even this many Colossus could be a disaster for this army right now, because that is just how light Zerglings actually are. And so with some crafty force fields as well, these Banelings don't actually look like they'll be able to get in, but they do find a way around the side, and it does look like quite a lot of these Banelings will be running into the Colossus right now. But it does look like overall that attack from Dimaga was a failure. I wouldn't say it was overall a fail, because he did destroy quite a lot of his opponent's stuff. More Zerglings coming on now. Always a favourite of mine, Zergling versus Colossus fight. It's a bit of a David and Goliath scenario. We have an army which is fully equipped to kill Colossi at the moment. Sorry, kill Zerglings at the moment. Trying to head out across the map, but it doesn't actually look like it will happen. We have a Spire on the way from Dimaga as well. Switching it up now with a nice little bit of a tech switch, which might actually really hurt WhiteRA, seeing as he doesn't have any anti-air units as such on the field. I mean, he does have sentries, but sentries do a fairly negligible amount of damage. I know that there's a video 100 sentries versus 100 Mutalisks, but quite a lot of that is down to the Guardian Shield upgrade, I think, or I feel anyway. So we do have the roly-poly baneling upgrade now from WhiteRA, which will help him, of course, be a little bit more aggressive with the banelings, but using a lot of banelings. I've never been sure about the whole using banelings against Protoss units idea. I've never been sure about it because, of course, the Protoss units do have the psionic shields, which makes them very, very tough indeed. And we have quite a lot of overlords clumped together over here. They're going to have a quick meeting about what is going on in the north of the base over here. But at the moment, it doesn't look like this attack might get cleared up, just as long as there are more units on the way from WhiteRA as well. This Colossus is very much on his own. But that's no matter for him, because he can just walk up the cliff and can carry on with his assault. Unfortunately, though, the Colossus does go down, but only to be replaced by another one, a Stalker and 2 Zealots, and another Colossus on top of that. So it does look like this combat is really, really going for a very nice, interesting game. I'm having lots of fun casting this, I've got to say. Look at those Zerglings absolutely frying. I bet it smells really nice or really, really horrible. Either way, it really depends whether or not Zerglings have barbecue sauce for blood, which of course is a pretty random thing to say, but wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, okay, if a pig had barbecue sauce for blood, this is a bit brutal, and then you were to cook it, that'd be some pretty delicious food. Obviously, after that brutality, you can tell I'm not a vegetarian, but you have to wonder, what would a pig that has been injected with barbecue sauce, while it's dead by the way, taste like? Who knows? Probably like what that Zergling smells like right there. Excellent. So we do have another push coming across the map now from WhiteRA. His supply is quite a lot bigger than WhiteRA's. At the moment, he's actually managed to take a third base and get it pretty saturated indeed at this point in time. Quite a lot of Corruptors coming from WhiteRA right now in order to deal with these Colossus from WhiteRA as well. But I mean, the Zerglings are going to have to be really, really careful because, well, quite frankly, there's quite a lot of Colossus on the field. These Corruptors do look like they'll be taken down pretty quickly by these Stalkers right now, but Zerglings are very, very good against Stalkers indeed. I just don't think that WhiteRA actually has enough Stalkers to be able to deal. Sorry, I don't think that WhiteRA has enough Zerglings to be able to deal with the Stalkers. If WhiteRA finds these Overlords, that could be very, very bad news for WhiteRA. I think WhiteRA should move them straight off the map pretty soon in this direction. Because, I mean, if WhiteRA manages to shoot all of those down, it can mean very, very bad things indeed. If we look at the probe count right now as well, we can see that WhiteRA is losing quite a few probes, or drones as they are known, the Zerg equivalent of probes. And it does look like WhiteRA is regrouping a little bit, not making any more Colossus at the moment. It does look like he has ceased the Colossus production ever since the Corruptors joined suit, allowing his opponent to make Corruptors, even though they don't actually counter anything on the field, because Corruptors cannot shoot down, unfortunately for them. These Baneleys are going to come out and kill quite a lot of Zealots if WhiteRA is not careful. In fact, there's going to be quite a whole lot of stuff dying for WhiteRA, but no, it does look like these Stalkers will be able to bounce back again. And that is the quality thing about having shields. WhiteRA pulling back a little bit now, trying not to be so aggressive. But in the middle, he is organising a death push with more Colossus, more Stalkers, and some more Zealots as well. Is what I would describe as a death push now. Seeing as WhiteRA has lost his third base, he is in very, very bad shape indeed. And I mean, it does look like, again, WhiteRA is lining up for the kill, as it were. I mean, also he should probably take his gas too, but you know, whatever, he is a pro player, he knows what he's doing. That is one thing that I do always like to make very, very clear indeed. Waiting for these other Colossus to come, I think he's going to do a push once they arrive, and I think this is going to be the final nail in WhiteRA's coffin for this game. There are a lot of Corruptors on the field. By a lot, I mean 5, which isn't actually that many. But I mean, the Stalkers should be able to focus them down pretty easily. Quite nice force fields coming down now from WhiteRA as well, which do prevent the Zerglings from doing any massive amount of damage to those Stalkers. And it does look like the Stalkers will just be free to shoot down the Corruptors right now. And there's a GG from WhiteRA, realising that perhaps he can't actually defend what is coming from his opponent, WhiteRA. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day. Enjoy playing StarCraft. And I will see you guys next time. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to comment, like, or subscribe. Or if you didn't, don't do any of those things. But send me a comment saying why you didn't like it, if you didn't like it. Okay, so have a nice day, guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.